Breaking news to bring to you. We have live coverage now of a high-speed chase going on, I believe it's the south side of town, I believe on 59 freeway. We'll get more details in a minute, but there is the vehicle, hot on the chase. On the run, they have a dozen police officers behind him, both Houston police officers as well as, I believe, county sheriff's deputies. Andy Bass, live in Sky Eye. Where is this located now, Andy?
He just exited off 59. I'm not too sure exactly what he exited off to. It could have been the belt. It could be the loop. I'm believing it is the belt itself. It looks like he's heading eastbound along the south belt right now. As you just mentioned, several police officers in tow behind him. It is that minivan that is in the middle of your screen. He is now headed eastbound along the south belt. Get him back in the screen.
And Andy, we see this all the time. They continue to run, but yet most don't get too far, and then it usually comes to a quick end and sometimes a dangerous and an ugly end, which is sad and unfortunate. But they've been chasing this guy for around 15 minutes. Any idea as to why he is on the run?
We're still trying to figure that out. The news desk is trying to grab as much information. I know this has been going on for at least the last 10 to 15 minutes, as you just mentioned, Art. You know, starting off way down south along 288, and the belt itself is where we tried to intercept him. Got a little bit discombobulated to where exactly he was, but we did pick him up along 59 and the belt, and that's where he pretty much exited just right now, is on the eastbound side of the belt. Looks like he's actually slowed down a little bit, trying to get in a little tighter thing if there's anything wrong with his tires or not, but this side seems to be okay. But he definitely has slowed down quite a bit since we have joined the chase. You see
someone's going to jump there. Here we go.
Here we go, yeah.
Look at this, Andy. Someone's jumping. Whoa, off the edge. It's a long fall. Yeah, that's at least a 25-foot jump there, but both of them jumped. Now they are on the run and seemingly surviving that fall. Now running across the street. Let's see if the officers follow them at this point. I don't see any officers on hot pursuit right behind him, Andy. Do you see anyone?
Unfortunately, no, because they went over the overpass. They went right down onto the feeder road, so they're running across. They just ran across the feeder roads. They're now into a parking lot of a building. I'm just going to come back out a little bit more. You can see it's definitely on an industrial park area.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to hide from us and from everyone else. Now they're just hiding on the other side of this building in this little area.
Those lanes. Where that chase ended.
Right, and it appears there are two suspects that police are now looking for. You saw both of them just go on the side of that building there behind a fence into some of the trees that are there. The Sky 2 is zoomed out quite far, so it's hard to get our bearings on exactly where officers are at this time. But you can see that there is both of the suspects there right now.
Looks like they're trying to jump over that fence right there.
And this looks like it may be a commercial parking lot area, sort of an industrial area, not too far from a neighborhood.
And we believe we are in the Missouri City area. And that may have been the Beltway that we were, let's see if Sky 2
Yeah, hard to get a good shot of the suspects. We need them to zoom back. Okay, they've slowed down a bit. They're sitting down.
Looks like one
appear to be out of breath from running so fast, trying to get away from police. One suspect is laid face down on the ground. The other is just sitting there in an empty parking space.
Oh, it looks like an officer may be approaching.
Officer approaching with caution.
And so the other one is lying down on his back with his hands up.
Here comes another police officer with his weapon drawn as well. It appears the suspects are following the commands given to them by the two officers who are there on the scene right now.
And so we were just told the chase ended at the Beltway and West Airport. So in Southwest Houston, looks like a third officer just joined.
But one
just joined the suspect.
That's right. They've got the suspect's hands behind his back so they can handcuff him. The other suspect's sitting there as well. In that parking space, the other officer trying to get the cuffs around him. You can see two more police officers, another two. So this is turning into quite a scene out there on the southwest side of Houston right now. We, of course, do have a crew on the way to the scene right now. We're going to certainly bring you more information as soon as we get it. Still trying to gather more details from the newsroom at this hour as well, trying to find out exactly what sparked this chase.
And how long it lasted, too. We know that it ended in southwest Houston in Missouri City, and those lanes are still blocked on the Beltway in that area at West Airport. And so lots of congestion in that area, but right now police are not only on those lanes, but they are investigating that situation. Looks like both of the suspects in handcuffs.
Stopped by, I saw them slowing down, and all of a sudden that door just opened up and the two obviously jumped off of it. I'm not too exactly sure where that stopped at.
Go ahead and swing that camera around, Andy, and let's see if we can take a look at the Beltway. Again, this was the South Beltway headed eastbound. There you have the officers, there is the van. Clearly the doors are open. That edge right there, there's at least a 20-foot drop or so, but not sure whether they have anyone in custody, but perhaps they do, not sure.
Yeah, we're hearing that they do indeed have at least 2 other people inside that van in custody. You can see at this point they are at least blocking a couple of lanes of traffic as police surround that minivan, and no doubt got a long investigation ahead of them at this point. So it looks as though at least 2 lanes of the video. Well, and we do want to take a look at the end of this chase one more time. We saw the minivan, which reached speeds of up to 100 miles an hour, come to a stop. Two of the people inside that van jumping over the side of the freeway and then taking off on foot. Hard to believe that they could make that long jump and then get up and immediately start running.
That was a pretty hard fall for at least that first guy. And you know what? Let's rack that up again and go ahead and take another look, because that's the drama of this whole scene.
Unfortunately,
of course, them driving 100 miles an hour is crazy enough, trying to elude police, but then taking that leap of faith over that edge. 20-foot drop there, and that guy first landing nearly on his bum first instead of his legs. But wow, here they are in custody from Sheriff's County deputies as well as HPD on the south side of town. It is at Gessner and South Beltway.
Beltway at
They
South
were
Gessner.
headed eastbound.
And actually, Andy, you know, you've covered a lot of car chases working with us over the years now. Not very often that we see a minivan as the escape vehicle of choice, is it?
And no, not too often that we see a minivan as the escape vehicle, especially with 4 males piling out of it. I remember that we did see 2 females a couple of years ago pile out of it, and that was a little interesting that we never see females. But yeah, a minivan full of guys, not usually what you see as someone running from the cops. We're still trying to figure out exactly why they were running from there. But you see those 2 in custody that did take off from the belt and then run southbound and then get arrested here at this industrial park just off of Gessner, just a little bit east of Gessner.
Yeah. I think they thought they'd be able to hide out there at that industrial park, but their freedom was very short-lived, as we all saw. They ran around the side of the building and ran right into the arms of police officers there.
They did not get too far. Again, this is the Beltway, the South Beltway, headed eastbound. And go ahead and push in just a bit if you can, Andy, on that traffic that's beginning to gather there. A couple of lanes shut down as a result of the chase. You can clearly see several officers there, and then the backup beginning to accumulate there on headed eastbound, again on the East Beltway, or the South Beltway, that is, at Gessner Street. So what a backup there. But these guys did not get too far. They essentially jumped over the edge, ran across the field, and right there at the industrial park, being caught by police, who were able to get off.
And Andy, it was kind of hard to tell as we looked at that minivan whether or not perhaps their tires blew. I don't know if there were strips that were thrown out at any point, but it looked as though they almost slowed down because they were not able to go much faster as you pull in.
I know they tried to do strips earlier in the chase when we were trying to get to them. I was looking at the left side of the vehicle when we first joined the chase, and I saw all those tires intact, and looking at the right side, those tires are intact as well. So it doesn't look like there is any problem with that. They were maybe just slowing down because they realized they were not going to go much farther. A lot of police were behind them. They had 3 choppers up in the air over them, so they probably just figured they might as well just try to run away and sort of just trying to drive away.
Yeah, and as we look here, we're trying to determine whether or not there were other people in the back of that minivan, or if indeed what we're seeing are people in custody inside of one of those squad cars while they look through the minivan to figure out exactly what went down there today.
Not sure again why they were running. We have no idea at this point yet. Is that correct, Andy? Not sure if this
still
is
don't know reason. Yeah, we still don't know the reason why they were running from the police initially, but you could see them going through the van, looking at it very carefully. I did see them look into the back of this vehicle right there and talk to one of them, so it looks like they at least have one other in custody here, maybe possibly two. We're still trying to figure out if there were completely 4 people in that van or 3, but as you can see, the officers are just looking over the side to see how far they actually jumped.
Yeah.
They're probably just amazed as we are, how far they did.
And interestingly enough, we didn't see any officers follow them over the edge. I mean, that's a pretty good fall.
There's a TB.
Oh,
wow.
TV,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we can assume one thing, at least, you know, to the degree of what they have been able to find in the van, perhaps they were being chased for an alleged robbery. We don't know that, but they're clearly taking out a big screen there.
Yeah, not usually what you see
car.
in the back of a minivan, is it?
They got some other belongings there they've been able to collect as well. You can see all sorts of, well, those look like women's bags.
Yeah.
Push in on those.
Bags,
yeah, push in on those. That looks like you're probably as far as you can go there, but that looks like some high-end bags there that they've been able to collect. Well, it looks like they found quite a
something.
Yeah.
Well, and Andy, this is a complete aside, but I will mention it. It's interesting that nowadays we see more SUVs and more trucks as part of the police officer's arsenal, as opposed to just simply squad cars.
Yeah, that is correct. I believe that the Crown Victoria vehicle that's coming in your screen is no longer being made by Ford, and that's why they all went to the SUVs and the later models. You do see some of the vehicles still in the old style, but a lot of them have gone to SUVs, especially the constables, the Pearland Police. Sheriff's Office, I believe, are still in the Crown Victorias, but for most of them are using the SUVs now.
Yeah, probably a little bit more speed there as they get involved in these high-speed chases.
A little bit more power as well. Wow, what they've been able to bring out of that van there, pretty amazing. You know, big screen, flat screen TVs, Gucci bags, and
well, we don't know if
we
they're
don't know if they're Gucci, but
we do know they are bags. That is for sure.
We do know that they're high-end bags. Are we able to rack up that video once again when those two took that jump over the edge? Because that was a lot of drama here involved. That vehicle, that's when it slows down, and you can see the guys here. Whoa, there they go. One right on the side. Lucky that he did not break an ankle or something.
Yeah, I was going to think, with that
kind of fall. But there they go, clearly running across the street into that open field, into that industrial area, trying to elude police, trying to hide from them. But then the officers were able to quickly maneuver themselves into that area and then capture them right on the other side of that building. They run down this alleyway, and then they run back. And then they run into that field.
Up, but then they end up trying to hide behind those hedges for a moment and get over to the other side.
Yeah, they don't know where to go. Wow.
Yeah, why don't we go back right now to Andy Bass, who is live over the Beltway there at South Gessner, where they continue to search through the minivan that these guys were in. And we've at least seen one large screen TV, and I do mean big screen, coming out, and what appears to be a lot of women's handbags. You can see as well the backup, because as we've been telling you, at least a couple of lanes have been taken over by police officers as they continue to do the investigation, which means that people are having some difficulty getting around them. But we're looking at both the feeder road now, near where that industrial park is, and as Andy continues to pull out, you can see the Beltway, and you can see just how slow the traffic is moving at this point.
Andy, have you been able to, at least from your perspective, see anything interesting happening over there where they were able to capture the two guys on the run?
For the most part, everything is status quo, Art. You can see that one lane on the northbound side of Gessner, along with that median, is shut down right now. All the activity is still in the parking lot of this complex right here. You can still see one of them is still sitting on the ground. Not too sure if he got injured. They might have gotten injured in the fall, and they're probably waiting for an ambulance or an EMS unit to come on scene and check them out. You don't know what happened there, but they're definitely not moving them from this area. This is where they laid down and gave up, and that's pretty much where it stands on the Gessner aspect of it. Going back to the belt, let me pan back out and showed you this is still going on. You can see how many units are still on scene, going through that to see how much there is. A lot of paperwork's going to have to be done here. 3 lanes are still blocked off on the eastbound side of the south belt, just a little bit past Gessner. So if you normally take Gessner to the belt, you might want to just find a different alternate until they get this cleaned up and moved out of the way, but it looks like it's going to be here out a while.
Yeah, and we're certainly curious to see whether or not there are going to be other interesting articles coming out of that minivan.
Here's another guy right now,
now
guys.
we do see, one of the other guys in custody.
Yeah, here's
Okay.
another one that was just brought into custody. So there's at least 3. I believe they were talking to the guy on the back of it. This might have been the guy out of that SUV right there at the left side of your screen that they were talking to when we were showing you it earlier. So at least 3 people have been arrested here so far. Still trying to confirm if there was a 4th one or not.
Okay, now we can clearly see as well that, and we've been saying HPD, but you know what? We clearly see that the Pearland Police is actually involved in this. So we see constables, officers there as well. I believe that's an HPD vehicle. So we have several agencies involved. I counted at least a dozen law enforcement vehicles at this scene, and then over there where the other 2 were apprehended, there were at least a dozen more vehicles. So we have a couple of dozen vehicles, law enforcement vehicles involved from Pearland Police, HPD, and the Constable's Office. And it all began in Pearland, where we understand these guys, at least according to information which we just received, were visiting the home of someone, asking for information about someone or trying to visit the home of someone. They weren't there. It was a suspicious call that started this. When police arrived, these guys immediately just fled and didn't stop. And now, as a result, we see here that they pulled out a flat-screen TV, several likely designer bags, and but they have been nabbed, at least 4 of them, we understand. Now, we see 1 here at this scene, 2 at the other scene. We have not seen a 3rd one here, or a 4th one here, I should say, but we do know that there may have been at least 2 here at this scene.
Yeah, and what we do know is that these young men, and we're assuming they are all young men, appeared at a home in Pearland and asked for someone who did not live there, asked for a strange name. And perhaps the homeowner or one of the neighbors got suspicious and contacted police.
Right.
And that's when this chase began. At one point, going at speeds of well over 100 miles an hour. And as we've been talking to Andy Bass up in Sky Eye, we sort of review many of the car chases we've seen over the years, and rarely do we see a minivan moving at that speed. But perhaps in the end, it just simply was not fast enough to outrun the police as we saw them jumping over the side.
Yeah, eventually giving up right there. Again, this is the Beltway at South Gessner Street, all coming to a dramatic close. We're going to have much more on ABC13.com, much more later in this newscast as well, because we have a crew on the way. And we'll get back to it momentarily, but for now, let's go ahead and take a commercial break, and we'll be back with more news later.
ABC 13 Eyewitness News at 4 starts now.
Now on the news at 4, a dramatic police chase. You saw it all live here on Eyewitness News. 2 suspected murderers right there jumped from an overpass trying to get away. We also have
an update now after a dramatic police chase. You saw it unfold right here live on Eyewitness News at 11 a.m. Suspected burglars on the run from the cops. And did you see it? They jumped off of that overpass and then tried to run away, but they were caught. Eyewitness News reporter Angela Chen live now in Southwest Houston, where police busted the guys, and she joins us now live. Angela?
Hi. Well, one of the most compelling parts of this chase was when the suspects stopped their car and jumped off the freeway. Imagine that fall. Now, I'm a little over 5 feet here, and if you take that and compare it to the height of this wall, that's about 20 feet you're looking at. Imagine that. It had to hurt when they landed. Now, let's take a look at that video here. This is the leap we're talking about off West Beltway 8 around the Airport Boulevard exit that 2 suspects made this morning around 11. You can see them sprinting across the street to the Crown Mark Furniture Distribution Center. Now, when we arrived on the scene, police had already arrested one of the suspects, but the other was unconscious and had to be transported by ambulance. At least one other suspect who stayed with the car was also arrested. We talked with a security guard who says he encountered the 2 suspects while they were trying to escape by entering the distribution center.
But when they went into my building, I noticed a frantic on them, and I noticed helicopters. I asked them what did they need, and they turned around and ran. And I went outside after them. I told them, what can I help you with? And he said, go, go, go. And that's when I noticed all the commotion.
Pearland police say this highway chase began when they got calls about a suspicious person on Nahas Court. The suspects apparently went up to a house and asked for a person who didn't live there. The homeowner didn't feel comfortable and called the police, and when officers arrived, the suspects took off, leading to the chase you saw earlier. Now, police were able to confiscate a large screen TV and several purses from the suspect's car. We will have that video for you at 5. For now, live in Southwest Houston, Angela Chen, 13 Eyewitness News.
What a story. story, Angela. Thank you so much. Very dramatic images. Now, I am live over here at the Smart Board because this story really blew up on social media and on our ABC 13 Facebook page. Viewers like you having all kinds of things to say and leaving all kinds of comments. We posted the story and showed you the video. Joseph says, talk about a leap of faith. Julie says, A for effort, F for decision-making, a very good point. Derek saying, that happened right in front of my work. It was crazy here. Some of the eyewitnesses also posting on our Facebook page. And then Dawn making a great point. Good job, officers. Thank you for all that you do. You might want to go onto the Facebook page and join the conversation. A lot of comments I decided not to read live on the air, but there's certainly some entertaining ones. We'll just put it that way, Eric.
Some colorful comments, Alona.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. Okay, with the new year